Let's talk about a feeling I'm pretty sure we all know. That feeling of being constantly ridiculously busy, but at the same time, feeling like you're getting absolutely nowhere. Well, in this explainer, we're going to tear apart this idea that being busy is the same thing as being successful. Because, spoiler alert, it's not. So, does this whole scene sound familiar to you? You're up before the sun, you're just racing through a day that's completely packed with emails, back-to-back meetings, and a to-do list that just seems to get longer, not shorter. And then, when you finally crash into bed, you don't feel accomplished. Instead, you're hit with this awful, nagging guilt, thinking, man, I was so lazy today, I just didn't do enough. But what if I told you that feeling has absolutely nothing to do with being lazy? In fact, it's the total opposite. The problem isn't that you're doing too little. The real problem is that you're trying to do way, way too much. So what's the solution? Well, it's a game-changing concept called Essentialism, based on Greg McKeown's amazing book. And it's all about the disciplined pursuit of doing less, but doing it better. So if you really want to work less, actually achieve more, and finally escape that feeling of constantly drowning, stick with me. We're going to explore the core rules that can seriously change your life. Okay, first things first. We have to get one fundamental idea straight in our heads. And honestly, it's a big one. Busyness is not a badge of honor. This right here is the simplest but probably the most powerful lesson from Essentialism. We've all been sort of conditioned to think that a packed calendar means you have an important life, right? But being busy isn't a virtue. More often than not, it's just a sign that we've completely lost control of our own choices. So you gotta ask yourself this and be honest. Are all those urgent things you're scrambling to do all day, are they actually connected to your real purpose? Or are they just noise? The goal here is to stop automatically saying yes to everything and start replacing the trivial many with the vital few. Which brings us right to our next huge point, learning how to master the incredible power of the word no. Okay, so check out this contrast. It's so powerful. On one side, you've got the non-essentialist. They're totally reactive. They say yes to every little request, usually out of fear or pressure, and they're really just focused on looking busy. But then on the other side, you've got the essentialist. They're proactive. They actually pause, they think, and they only commit to what truly genuinely matters. They care about results, not just appearances. And here's an absolutely brilliant example of this in real life. Think about Steve Jobs. He famously said no to 70% of Apple's own products. Now, were those bad products? No way, of course not. They were good products. But they weren't essential. See, he understood that saying no to the good stuff is what creates the space for the truly great stuff. So here's the rule you have to adopt. It's super simple. When you're faced with any choice, any opportunity, you ask yourself, is this a clear, definite, wholehearted heck yes? If it's not a definite yes, then it has to be a definite no. That vague maybe is actually more damaging than just giving a clear refusal. All right, so once you start saying no to new things coming your way, what's the next step? It's learning the art of cutting out the stuff that's already there but just isn't serving you anymore. Now, for this to work, we have to talk about a really common mental trap called the sunk cost fallacy. You know, that little voice in your head, the one that says, oh, but I've already put so much time and money into this project, I can't just quit now. All that effort will be wasted. That kind of thinking keeps us completely stuck in things that just are not working. But here's a simple little test you can use to break free from that trap. Just ask yourself this one powerful question. Knowing everything I know right now, if this same opportunity came up today, would I still make the same investment? If the answer is no, then you know it's time to cut your losses and move on. So think about this process like you're playing two different roles. First, you need to be the writer. Your job is to get absolutely crystal clear on your essential mission. What is the one thing you are trying to achieve? Once that purpose is super clear, thousands of smaller decisions just become automatic. Then you switch hats and you become the editor. And what does an editor do? Their job is to cut out anything and everything that hides the main story. So your job is to eliminate every single activity that's hiding what's truly important. So, after we've cleared out all that clutter, what do we do with all this new space and energy we've created? Well, now we get to nurture what is truly essential. And you know what? The things that are essential might actually surprise you. It's not about cramming in more work. According to McKeown, the most essential activities are things like thinking, playing, and sleeping. Thinking gives us the space to actually ask, am I even working on the right thing? Playing fuels our creativity and our ability to solve problems. And sleep? Well, sleep is a straight-up superpower. And let's be perfectly 100% clear on this. The single most powerful productivity tactic there is a good night's sleep. Period. It's not some luxury, it is the foundation that all high-level performance is built on. And here's one final tactic for nurturing the essential. Find your biggest constraint. A chain is only as strong as its weakest link. So what's the one thing that's slowing you down the most? Don't just try to work around it. Focus your energy on strengthening that one bottleneck. That is where you are going to see the biggest leaps in progress. At the end of the day, it all comes down to this single beautiful philosophy. Less, but better. And this isn't just a tactic. It's a whole way of life. It's choosing to trade that exhausting, meaningless grind of just being busy for the deep, deep satisfaction of making a real contribution in the areas that actually matter to you. Look, making this shift, it requires some tough choices, but the rewards are just immense. And the first step is always the hardest one to take. So my question for you is this: what is the one thing in your life that you are going to say no to starting today?